Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 31 of Shakin Hands. I'm your host, Jack Moran. Today on the podcast, we have Sean Oddis, the founder of Spire Contracting. How are we doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Not too bad. Just ripping it up here on a Wednesday. Is it Wednesday?
I think it's Thursday.
Oh. Now you know how it's going.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about your business.
So I own Spire Contracting here in Charleston. We're a full-service construction management firm. We also have a roofing division to our company as well. And we, focus on the customer experience. We always say we're relentlessly committed to doing what we say we're going to do, which is actually rare in my industry. So it's been really good. We're about 6 years in business now, started here in Charleston, a team of 10, and really strong team, looking to grow, a lot of good projects.
How'd you get into the business?
So do you want the long story or the short
We got the
version?
time.
So I've always been pretty mechanical myself. In high school, I took a vocational route, but also completed all my math and Spanish credits to be able to go to college. And so me and my buddy were actually the first ones to graduate from our high school with the vocational degree and still go to college. So went to college at Coastal Carolina University for entrepreneurship and business management. And during that time, I was actually doing a lot of wakeboarding. And so thought I was going to be a professional wakeboarder, moved to Charleston to kind of pursue that. And after a couple injuries and figuring out the payroll for the wakeboard industry, decided to pivot a little bit and move downtown here in Charleston, actually on Nassau Street, and just started talking with my landlord. My place was not very well managed at the time, and they needed help with their properties, some investors out of Atlanta. And so I was like, let me help you out. I need a job. Let's go. And started working with them, just doing some property management, basic maintenance stuff, and then renovating their properties, turning a lot of properties in Elliott Borough, Cannon Borough into these single-family homes, Charleston singles, into short-term rentals. And I started doing basically all their GC work for them because I could not get anyone to do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
And so I was renovating all their places and then kind of reached my ceiling with that and decided to get licensed myself and went to grad school at that time as well. And I got my master's in business with a focus in project management. And as I kind of started my business as I was in grad school and been doing it ever since.
Do you think you got more education from the experience of being in the field or from your master's in business?
So the master's in business becomes more applicable every day, it seems. When I started out, I was banging hammers myself, and so your accounting classes don't do much for that. But every day I'm applying more of what I've learned in my master's when it comes to marketing, HR, accounting. As I learn in the construction industry, I'm able to apply those things that I learned at the Citadel in my master's program. So it's super helpful to have that foundation.
What are the most important skills that you got from that master's program? I didn't get any formal business education from college. I went to school for environmental science, so I'm curious to hear what.
Yeah, I think, even normal college and master's, it's just kind of foundational things for learning and your process of how you intake information and apply it. And so by going through school, taking those classes, doing my master's program, I really learned how I learn and how I can continue to learn and apply those things. So it's really just habits, right? And, of course, the accounting classes taught me what a profit and loss statement is and things like that. But it was really, how do I study? How do I find information? And then how do I apply it? I think that's kind of the most applicable part of, going to a university or really any formal education.
Yeah, I think it's a good, interesting segue. We have never really talked about it on the podcast, but the P&L and the balance sheet are kind of the bird's eye view of your business. How do you utilize your P&L and your balance sheet to drive growth within the business?
That is a great question. I actually sat my team down yesterday. We have team trainings every Tuesday. We moved to Wednesday this week because it's Thursday today. And so we moved to Wednesday, and I've been getting questions and having to make a lot of financially driven decisions. And, to my employees, it may just seem like I'm just saying no to buying the new thing, or as far as my project managers are concerned, I'm pushing them on these projects to get them done faster because I understand the implications of that, right? And so when it comes to the profit and loss and the balance sheet, it's just keeping an eye on them on a regular basis and looking for trends, and hopefully looking for that success in revenues and profits, but also having a plan. Having a plan is key, and I've really learned that in the past couple years, and I'm working on our plan for 2025 right now, and just laying out what did 2024 look like, because we obviously had a plan for that and a budget that we were tracking to, and you go over in some areas and you don't spend in other areas. And so taking a look at that, extrapolating it for growth, and applying it to 2025 so we can have a healthier year. And what I was doing with my team yesterday that I had never done before is making sure that everyone understands what profit and loss is and why, or how we use it and why we use it. And so I was really setting the stage for a conversation we'll have in December, where we will look at our budget for 2025, and everyone on the team will understand where we can spend, where we should tighten things up, and the goals that we're tracking to for 2025, because we have very aggressive goals for growth. If you were to look at how quickly we've grown and how we plan on growing, a normal business equation would not say that doubling revenues is normal, but we have the team and we're really pushing. We have the ability here in Charleston to do that, but it has to be a well thought out plan, financially and, from a marketing standpoint and all of that. And that's a long-winded way to say that your P&L really drives that, being able to have a plan for moving forward and analyze how that plan's doing on a monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis.
Yeah, it's great that you're utilizing that. I think as entrepreneurs, we can tend to live in the abstract, especially me, and the numbers don't lie. I learned from one of my mentors, I was showing him the business in the early stages of our business, and he didn't care about all the the nuts and bolts and the abstract and the story. He just went straight to the P&L. Again, the numbers don't lie, and you can utilize that data to kind of reverse engineer it into a plan. And especially when you're scaling up, like if these are my inputs for this much revenue, this is my per unit due diligence. If you want to double your revenue, you just double that input.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with the P&L and the balance sheet to forecast out and grow the business and do it in a methodical way.
Yeah. And it's just having a full understanding, because I didn't do that for a while, right? And I tell my employees and my accountant, it's really all for my sleep.
Yeah.
Right? The more I know, and I know where our money is being spent and how it's being spent and how we're performing, the better I'll sleep at night. And so, we're working to better understand those things and apply them. So,
are you guys doing more commercial roofing or residential?
So we do both. On the roofing side of things, we do both commercial and residential, and on the general contracting side, we lean a little more on the residential side right now, but we have a handful of projects going into construction, or handful of commercial projects going into construction, and one in construction right now. It's a pretty cool one, but it's kind of tough to explain, and I'm working on the marketing side of my company right now because we do have that roofing division, but the majority of our work is in that construction management, general contracting realm, and they're both under the same name. There's Spire Contracting and Spire Roofing. And so when I first started the business, it was, I thought it would be more, the cross-marketing aspect of it would be very beneficial. And over the past couple months, my team and myself have kind of come to the conclusion that it's confusing people more than it is beneficial. So we're kind of working on that right now.
The roofing business is pretty hot right now, is it not?
Oh yeah.
It's a hot model.
Yeah. We hate hurricanes when they ruin people's homes and all of that. But the storms have definitely helped out the roofing industry around here, and it's a good business to be in. It's a consistent revenue stream, and really for me starting this business, it was just a diversification of my portfolio. And when you're in general contracting, projects kind of ebb and flow. They come on really hot, and then you see this dip, and
Right.
And
a lot of one-off work.
Yeah. And it's directly correlated with the economy too. However, hurricane is not coordinated with the economy, or
Correlated, yeah.
Correlated. There we go. Too much coffee at work.
Plug and Merkin mash. Yeah, I was there too. So I've seen like roofing under the door knocking model. How are you guys generating your leads?
Yeah, so we generate a couple of ways. Obviously, you have to have your online presence, and then we have sales individuals, roof consultants that go out, door knock. They call around, real estate agents provide a pretty good flow of business, and then we can also work for other general contractors. We do a lot of shingle roofing, but we also do some high-end metal roofing, and we are really good at doing the historical roofing for, downtown Charleston in the BAR jurisdiction. So we definitely employ the door knocking, but kind of pull on other elements of marketing as well. And honestly, in Charleston, signage is one of the best forms of marketing.
Really?
So yeah,
That's interesting.
For our industry, at
Really?
least. Yeah.
Have you guys done anything with solar?
Other than pull them off and throw the panels away because the solar companies will not come back and put them on, not too much, no.
Yeah.
So, we often take them off to replace a roof, but have not kind of moved into that industry yet.
Yeah, it seems like they go kind of hand in hand. I remember because before I started my company, I was knocking solar door to door.
Nice.
And we were able to roll the roofs into the tax credit.
Yes.
So if we had to do a solar job, but they didn't have a roof that was a good foundation for that solar project, we could fix that, the cost or the ticket for that roof into the tax credit for the solar. So they were essentially getting a free roof.
Yes. So in that capacity, yes, we have a couple solar companies that bring us business. And I actually love those relationships because you guys go out and basically sell it, and then we just come in, install the roof, and get paid for it. So those relationships are great. My mind was going to the installation of the actual solar.
Yeah.
because there are some roofing companies that will do that. And there's actually solar shingles now that can be
Oh yeah,
installed.
is that developed now?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought those were just concept.
Yeah. So GAF, we're certified GAF installers, and they have a nailable shingle now. And not many people are doing it. I don't think the numbers really shake out for the tax credit equation yet, but it's coming. And obviously Tesla has one as well that looks like slate, and those numbers definitely don't shake out, but it's a good looking solar roof.
Yeah. What has been like the biggest hurdle that you've encountered developing your business?
Biggest hurdle is probably accepting the fact that I'm more in the HR business than the construction business. I've actually never really worked in a corporate environment.
Lucky you.
So always worked for myself pretty much. And so learning what goes on in a corporate environment, I am the leader of my corporate environment, and making sure that I'm leading my team the right way and managing my team the right way. And that's been a little bit of a learning curve. I don't know if I would necessarily categorize that as a hurdle, but I think HR, understanding you're managing people now and not solely projects.
To follow up on that, what's the biggest oh shit moment that you've had through your years?
Biggest oh shit moment. Well, I'll tell you a funny one that is not working out very well for me right now. So a couple years ago, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I let my trailer to a buddy of mine, and just a friend. I did not advise him on how to do any construction. And he decided to take his chimney down, and I don't know if you've seen this video, into the dump trailer. And he filmed it, and he posted it. And to this day, my phone rings 4 or 5 times a day.
No way.
With people asking me about this video and asking if I can take their chimney down. And so when I didn't think it was a big deal, 5 years ago, things didn't trend like they do now. And it just spiked again. And now I'm starting to realize that it could be affecting my business, and I had nothing to do with it other than lending a trailer. So my phone number was on the side of the trailer, and my business was on the side of the trailer. So that was probably it's more become an oh shit moment as of late. And
there's no money in the chimney removal business?
There is on TikTok, because I'm sure people are monetizing it.
Yeah.
But not the way that he did it, because it totaled the trailer.
Yeah. There's actually a good amount of contractors that watch this podcast, and I have heard, like, as a trend, that it is difficult for them to scale their business up. They kind of have this like revenue that they're hitting, and it's difficult because I know, at least in my business, that one-off work, you have ebbs, like you said, ebbs and flows in the revenue that comes in, and it can be difficult to cover that burn rate that you have when you don't have those jobs. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so the construction industry, I always say construction is a contact sport, right? It's you're dealing with humans, you're dealing with projects, and it totally ebbs and flows, and growth can be difficult, but you really just have to keep pushing. And I think it's really in the people. I have some really great people on my team now that help me to grow, and I think contractors are very money conscious, and so they want to They want to build something, make their profit margin, move on to the next, when that works, but it doesn't work so well in growing a business. You need to see that you can build that and you can build that and invest in this while you're doing that to grow your business. And so what I have done, or what I have learned to grow my business, is hire the right people and hire them quickly. If you have a good backlog and you see projects coming, get that superintendent on board, get that project manager on board, make sure you have the right staff, and own those projects as quickly as you can to move on to the next and continue to do that. My first couple of hires were tough for me to swallow. It's a big ticket item, and especially when you're hiring someone when you're new and paying them as much as you're paying yourself. But you just have to accept that as a business person, not necessarily a contractor, but a business person. If your goal is to grow, you need to back it with the manpower and back it quickly, because there are a lot of contractors in this industry that do not do that. And I think that's a big driver of why the term contractor gets a bad rap, because they want, or a lot of contractors want to move on to the next project or double their workload and keep the same manpower and make more money, which is great and all. I want to make more money, but that's not how you're going to scale your business. You need to hire the right people right before you double your workload and then continue to do that. But accepting that is the hardest part of growing a construction company.
Yeah, and I think it's, not just limited to construction. I actually had this conversation this morning about team building, and it's probably the biggest or the most difficult challenge that I've encountered is building, a good team. What is your methodology for attracting the right people? Is it through your messaging, or do you have filters that you create through your hiring process? How do you get the right people?
Great question, because I've gotten a lot better at this, and
I'm taking notes. So,
and it's really to always be interviewing and always be hiring. And what it really starts with is happy employees. If you have a good culture and you have happy employees, they're going to talk about it, and they're going to share their experience with their friends. And so that paired with always having conversations. So I don't need a superintendent today, but I am talking to superintendents right now for the future. I think that's very key, because when you do need that employee, it's too late. And then you're going out and you're going on Indeed or whatever, which brings you the worst candidates. And you're hunting for someone, and then you're in a pinch, and then you're hiring someone that's maybe applicable, maybe aligns with your team, or maybe not 100%, but you need them at that time. And so you can offset that by always interviewing, always having conversations. I have 5 or 6 numbers in my phone for multiple positions in my company right now that when I do need to fill that position, I'm talking to those people. And we've actually, one of the hardest or biggest hurdles is creating a good culture in your company. I didn't think about that getting into the construction industry. I was like, oh, I want to build cool stuff. And then slowly started to realize that culture is huge, and creating a good energy within your company. And like I said, people will start talking about that. And we've been very lucky. Our past couple hires have been friends of friends or past coworkers, and they have come to us because they've heard about Spire and they've heard about their friend's experience. And one example is, okay, he was an Indeed candidate, our superintendent. I had a conversation with him, brought him on board, and actually one of his references that I spoke with his boss in Nashville. So Josh moved from Nashville. He came on with our company, and then his boss followed him here and started working somewhere else, but knew about his experience this entire time. I'm talking with him. We're just having very loose conversations because he's moving to Charleston, and I may or may not need someone. And the day he got here, I did not need someone, and 2 weeks later, I needed someone. And he heard about Josh's experience, and he came in, and we had some conversations, got him on some job sites, and now he's working for us. He's running 3 projects in Wagner Terrace, and great employee. They're both ex-Marines, and it just happened really organically because of that mentality of always interviewing and always talking to candidates.
It's interesting. You take like a sales approach to onboarding. It's like always keeping that pipeline full.
Exactly. It's the exact same. You have to.
You talked about culture before. What are the fundamentals to a good culture? How do you drive culture within your company?
So there's a number of ways that I've learned to drive culture, and it really starts with values, right? At Spire, our values are respect, rigor, and responsibility. So as far as the workplace is concerned, being respectful of your coworkers, whether it's time or their space or all the above. Rigor, just working hard. And then responsibility, being accountable for your actions. And we preach that. Everyone eats, sleeps, and breathes it. It's on every bit of our letterhead and all of that. And when having conversations with your coworkers or your employees, you can always go back to that. That is your baseline, is your values. And I make decisions every day about, with my employees or about my employees based on those values. And, if I get in a pinch and I'm thinking, which way should I go on this? Just go back to the values. Does it align with your values or does it not? And so I think that's the baseline of having a good culture, is defining your values and sharing those values throughout the company. And then outside of that, it's hiring a cohesive team, making sure that the candidates not only have the skills, but really have the attitude that you're looking for. I always say, you can hire for attitude, train for skill, right?
Interesting.
You can't train for attitude. So as long as we're hiring for that attitude that we're looking for, then it's going to be a good fit with the team. And one way that we do that as well is the personality assessments. So everyone
does to use Myers-Briggs or something? Or
no, it's predictive index, and it's a very simple one. Actually, one of my mentors that owned a construction company introduced it to me, and you can just kind of see, people's mentality and their skills and their weaknesses. There's no wrong personality assessment, but it's just kind of understanding how people approach work and relationships. And so taking a look at that early on really helps with understanding, is that person a good fit for the role, and is that person a good fit for the team as well.
And having that data, you're setting them up for success from the beginning.
Right. And we're in construction, so urgency is key, or else we'll never get anything done. And so anyone that joins our team, we look for a certain level of urgency in the majority of our positions. Now, estimating, maybe that's a little different, but those personality assessments really help with understanding how a person operates and how they're going to fit into the team. And it also helps with conflict resolution. And I'm not talking about squaring up with one of your employees, but really just when there's issues in the workplace. Maybe someone is a little frustrated with someone else. And every time that happens, my senior...
addressed immediately.
What's that?
It needs to be addressed immediately.
Needs to be addressed immediately, but you pull out those personality assessments. And you can usually see, okay, this person is extremely detail-oriented, some urgency, not social or whatever. And their coworker is extremely urgent and not that precise. Okay, well, she wants things really fast, and he's trying to figure out everything that goes into it. And so that's the problem. You guys need to come to a common ground. Stop looking at all the details. Give them a little more time, and it's really helpful in that sense. But going back to creating a culture, all of those things help. But really just being a strong team, doing things together and getting together on a regular basis. Like I said, we started doing these Tuesday trainings, and some of them are extremely organized, and some of them are more just like a town hall, just a conversation. Yesterday, I wanted to address those financial conversations and help everyone understand where I'm coming from, making these financially driven decisions that they don't really understand that they're financially driven. They just think maybe I'm saying no or I'm saying yes or whatever for whatever reason. But those Tuesday trainings have really helped to bring the team together. Everyone always learns something. And sometimes our project manager will teach it. Our business development guy will teach it. We'll all chime in. One of the best ones that we had was everyone just going around the room. And I mean, we're a team of 10. We're not that big, right? But everyone has their own role, and talking about what does your day-to-day look like? What is the easiest part of your job? And where could you use help? Because we are a team and we employ that team mentality. We're only a team of 10, so everyone should be chipping in when their coworker in the field, needs help cleaning up a job site or whatever. Our business development guy, if he's free, go clean up the job site. And that training was a great one, because you would think that a team of 10, everyone would know what everyone does, but they really don't, because everyone goes out in the field, does their own thing, comes back. Maybe they eat lunch together and, talk about family stuff or whatever, but every employee doesn't know what each other do. And so that was a great one. And that has really helped with our culture, because people appreciate learning, really, at the end of the day. And it's very simple stuff, but everyone has their own skill set. And usually there's 2 or 3 people in that room that whatever we're teaching or talking about that day maybe don't have that skill set. And so it's super helpful for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could take a page out of your book. I think, my pattern tends to be to run kind of a siloed business where it seems like you have kind of that open line of communication. It's interesting how people can play off each other's skills when there is that collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it didn't happen overnight. It was a bit of a long road to get there, and to get the right team. I don't know if there's ever the perfect team, but the team that we have now is totally in tune with being collaborative, helping each other out, open line of communication, and just sharing information quickly with each other. And our administrator will be out in the field one day and helping the guys, just walking around taking notes or whatever. Like, she doesn't have to stay at her desk.
Right.
Go have some fun, see what's going on in the field, and things like that. And our team now is super in tune with that teamwork mentality and helping each other out.
I had a recent aha moment. I was reading at the airport Harvard Business Review, and currently in our company, we're really trying to focus on culture. And I think in the past, our methodology was to be this is our culture. And transparency, say transparency is one of our values,
Mhm.
we'd be like, don't lie to customers.
Yeah.
But what this case study said was that people retain the information, and you can facilitate a culture better by training through case studies. So instead of saying, like, we don't lie, looking at a case study and saying, in this situation, the customer sales rep relationship was this, and this was the problem that they encountered, and this is how we approached it in correlation with our values, and that is retained better. And we've had a lot of success training that way through those case studies and past problems to instill our values instead of just like throwing them at the person saying this is how you should conduct yourself.
Right. Yeah. Providing context to values is very key, and looking at case studies or lessons learned and things like that is extremely helpful for people to understand.
And documenting all those case studies is really important too, so you can utilize them in the future.
Yeah. Especially now being 6 years in the construction industry, even just in our company, we have plenty of things to look at, to look back and say, it was good, but we could have done this. And a lot of the people that are with me now may not have been with me back then, and looking at something that's applicable to their day-to-day is extremely helpful.
And I have an interesting question I think our audience might find useful, but as a general contractor, you're probably dealing with a lot of subcontractors, and I know a lot of people with startup businesses are relying on a lot of freelancers. How do you vet a subcontractor that you haven't previously done work with, and how do you essentially determine if they are going to get the job done and they can be trusted and they're the person that you should utilize for the job?
Great question. We would be nothing without our subcontractors. So they're very important, and I thank them every day because they're really the heart and soul they're the fuel for our business, right? So to answer your question,
like day one, what are you looking for?
My first step in finding a new subcontractor would be reaching out to my network. So we're involved.
Testimonials.
Yeah. So we're involved in AIA, Urban Land Institute, Chamber of Commerce. And then, of course, we have a big network of friends and associates in the construction industry. And anyone in the construction industry or an owner of a construction company knows the struggle of finding good trade partners. Trade partners, not subcontractors. And so I have a handful of other owners that I'll reach out to and say, hey, we have a ton of work right now. I'm looking for another framer, for example. And then hopefully he shares a number or two or whatever, and we get to reach out to that individual. And from there, our process is first getting to know the individual, looking at their portfolio, and then bringing them into the office and doing a bit of an interview. The contractor that goes to Lowe's and picks up a crew and goes straight to his job site, that's the one that gives us a bad name. Right. So we try to make it a simple but thorough process, and bring them into the office, have a conversation. Hopefully we're talking the same language at that point. Usually we are. And then from there, we'd like to visit a job site or two and speak with references. So we'll go out, send a project manager out and take a look at the job site. And there's so many things once you're in this industry, you walk on the job site, look in the back of his truck. What kind of tools does he have? Is it organized? And then he's not going to take you to his worst job site, right? But does he have control? Does he have good guys? He or she have good guys or gals, and are they practicing good safety measures, things like that. And when you get on that job site, you can usually tell, is this a professional setting? Are these good guys? And can they come work for us? And so that's usually our first stop. And then from there, if we bring them on, we just keep a close eye to start. We keep a close eye on all our projects, and we have superintendents in the field, boots on the ground every day. But those new guys, you want to really understand how they work, because in our industry, there's guys that'll send you an estimate on QuickBooks, and there's ones that'll send you a screenshot of their Apple Notes and with no scope of work and like just a number. So,
and how you do anything's how you do everything.
Yeah. And however, some of those Apple Notes guys are my best guys today, are my best trade partners. So you can't fully judge on that. But are they sticking to their word? And like I said, we say we are relentlessly committed to doing what we say we're going to do. And that has to be top to bottom. And so are they showing up on time? Are they doing what they say they're going to do? Because if I'm telling my client I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, and my superintendent says it, but then our trade partners are not living that as well, and they're not showing up on the day that work is supposed to be done, then we've kind of dropped it on our promise, right? So as far as we're concerned, that's unacceptable, and we keep a close eye on that from the start. And then, if we bring them on and they're doing all right work but not doing what they say they're going to do, then we'll try to kind of pivot from there, get them in the right zone, and if we can't do that, we'll have to move on from there. But so really just like a quick pilot test, keeping a close eye, and then moving on. But we're lucky at this point that we have some really good trade partners. We have a good core group to facilitate our projects, and they show up. We've trained them on our values. We've talked values with them. We talked about being relentlessly committed to doing what we say we're going to do, and they understand that, and they understand that if we grow, they grow as well. And as far as trade partner retention is concerned in our industry, it's just pay them fast. If you're paying them fast and you're able to do that, then they're going to stick around. You don't want to overextend your payments. You want to pay them the right amount, but pay them quickly, and they're going to be by your side.
Treat them how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think, the message I'm taking away, and I think it's a really important message, is you have to take the extra time to do that due diligence, because this person is going to have an effect on your product, which is so important for you guys. Your product is your reputation, and so you have to ensure that you do that due diligence in the beginning to ensure the quality on the back end.
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
In a competitive industry like the roofing business, how do you guys, get a client to go with you? What are the fundamentals that you believe move the needle on why a client chooses you over someone else? I'm guessing it's not just price.
Right. Well, we would hope it's not just price. And sorry, was your question referring to just roofing or
in general? What do you think is like what influences a person to choose your company over someone else's?
So we hope that at the end of the day that they're choosing us based on our values and our communication. That's how we want to be competitive and have a competitive edge, is showing them that we aren't the contractor that shows up and disappears for a week or two. We are not the company that you're not going to know exactly what's going on at all times. And so it is a bit of a process for them to see that, look, these guys are on it. They're quick, they're professional, and they care about what they're doing. And so we try to create a relationship with them through really our pre-construction process and show them look, we're working hard. We're here. We're acting in your best interest. And we're all a team. It's not our client versus us. We're all in this together. And our goal is to not be racing to the bottom on projects. We want to get in and show the clients that we have the team that's going to work hard, and we're going to deliver a budget to you that we know we can meet, and we're going to deliver a schedule that we know we can meet, and we're going to create that certainty of outcome for your project. And, you know, everyone, homeowners, developers, most everyone has been stung by that contractor that comes in, tells them one thing, does something else. Whether it's the project takes forever, it costs way more. I would say 90% of the homeowners that I meet with, their biggest thing is not being stuck with a big bill that they did not expect at the end of the project. And so we just have to show clients how we do not do that, because we don't. We track to our budgets, we track to our schedules, and if there's major unforeseens, they're the first to know. I always tell my employees, good news fast, bad news faster, right? Because if you get it out of the way, then we can deal with it and we can pivot from there.
It's great advice.
But if you don't talk about it, then you end up the same guy that sticks you with that bill at the end of the project. You end up just like that guy. And so good news fast, bad news faster. As far as setting ourselves apart and competing in the marketplace, it's exactly that. Values, creating a certainty of outcome for our clients, and also sharing references with them, making sure they're talking with our past clients or even current clients about their experience. For example, today at 3:00 today, we're bringing a client by a project we have going on in Wagner Terrace, and they're looking to do a project on their house, and so they're going to meet with our superintendent. They're going to walk through. He's going to show them that he knows everything that's going on that project, and when the project's going to be done, exactly how much the client has spent at that point, what they have to spend, and just show him that he has control of his job site. And that's really how we want to compete in the marketplace, is show our team, show our clients that we have the ability to deliver, and bring them to job sites, check references, things like that. Those have been our best clients to date. The clients that are not ideal for us are the ones that don't check our references and they're too busy to come to our job site. You're going to spend $500,000 or $1 million or however much with us, but you don't want to come meet our superintendent and look at our work? Well, then you care about just price, most likely.
Yeah, that's really good advice. What is your goal for your business, and how do you take that goal and that vision and bring it into like a actionable plan?
So when I would have told you a couple years ago that my goal is to build the biggest things possible, it's changed a little bit. My overall goal is to be a sought after employer and a sought after company to work with. Now, growth comes after those two. Growth is, and we obviously have financial goals that are pretty lofty over the next 5 to 10 years, but the growth doesn't matter if we're not a sought after employer and if people in this town or other towns don't want to work with us. So our goal is to attract talent while attracting clients by being a good company, and then growth will kind of fall into place from there.
What's your own personal definition of success?
My personal definition of success would be creating a successful and respectful legacy, whether it's in business or in life. Strong relationships, both in business and life, and looking back at the end of the day and, saying I built a badass company and had a great life.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that you've learned through your entrepreneurial journey that you wish you knew when you started?
Be humble, because when I started, I thought I knew everything. I was doing small renovations and things like that, and I was like, I know everything about construction, but come to find out, I knew nothing. And, I knew how to somewhat build things, and I went to school for management, but being humble and accepting that you're going to be learning every single day. And that's really my favorite part about what I do, is learning every day. Because if you think you know everything, then you're not going to be taking it in and learning it, right? But since I'm humble and I know that there's so much more information out there, then I can be learning every day and building a better business and becoming a better person in general.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. Final question is, what habits do you have that you think support your productivity?
Habits that I have.
Or important to your success?
Yeah, 100% for me, it's exercise. I have to exercise, at least 5 times a week. And when I don't do that, then work starts to creep in and I don't have that release. I have a number of hobbies: surfing, golfing, disc golf, boating, fishing, all of that. And so, taking the time to do those things, I think, is important for a reset as an entrepreneur. But outside of that is, for me, another habit is, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm a big pen and paper guy. Just get it out, I don't even use line paper, just a white sheet of paper, and writing everything down that's on my mind, and getting it out, and then I can organize it and address it from there. But in entrepreneurship, there's times that you feel like there's nothing to do, and then there's times that you're extremely overwhelmed. And at those times that you're overwhelmed, or when you feel like there's nothing to do, I just brain dump. And that's a very important practice for me. And then I can start to kind of manage priorities from there. And then habits, really scheduling things out is an important habit that I've had to learn. My fiance does a great job of it. You look at her calendar and it's just everything's lined up and she knows exactly when she's doing everything. Mine is not quite like that, but planning ahead and understanding that there's plenty of time to get to things, and having a habit of pushing the low priority things out and moving the high priority things up, and getting them all on your calendar, and then you can start to manage from there. So
fantastic advice. I could definitely use some more organization within my life.
Yeah, we're males. We all could, right? The females have it down.
Yeah, for sure. Where can people find you if they want to reach out, or they're interested in your services?
So our website is www.spirecharleston.com, and then you can find us on Instagram at Spire Contracting.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It's apparent that you have an in-depth knowledge base, and your success is inspiring. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for the invite.
Well, that concludes this episode of Shakin' Hands. I'm your host, Jack Moran. If you have any suggestions for guests that you want to see on the show or questions that you want asked, please don't hesitate to reach out. But other than that, we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.